Welcome back to another episode of Brands. I'm Mark Brand from Alpha Controls. Today we have Jeremy Torra from NAVAC with us to dive into the critical topic of refrigerant system evacuation. Alpha and NAVAC have been partnered for over 4 years delivering quality HVAC products. And today Jeremy is going to share his expertise and some of the best practices of refrigerant system evacuation. Welcome, Jeremy, and thanks for being here with us today. So let's start by talking about what refrigerant system evacuation is and why it's so important.
And thanks for having me here, Mark. So refrigerant system evacuation, also known more simply as pulling a vacuum, is the process of removing air, moisture, and non-condensable gases from an HVAC system. The reason that this is important is because those contaminants can lead to system inefficiency and long-term damage of that HVAC system.
So I guess it's safe to say we can use the term pulling a vacuum rather than refrigerant system evacuation?
Sure, certainly less of a mouthful and a little more efficient.
Definitely. So Jeremy, maybe now we can talk a little bit about how pulling a vacuum is performed.
Yeah, sure. So pulling a vacuum is not an overly difficult process. It's detail-oriented, and this is a process where the right tools are required. So there are a number of different methods, and you can get as complicated as having multiple hose setups with Ys at the equipment or the pump. But really a simple and effective method is connecting the vacuum pump to the system service ports with a valve core removal tool and a large inside diameter vacuum hose. You're then turning on the vacuum pump and you are pulling that system down to below 500 microns, removing, again, the aforementioned air, moisture, and condensables to ensure that that system is clean. Once you are below that 500 micron threshold, you then do a leak check on that system, and you're using tools like a micron gauge to do that. So Mark, that 500 micron benchmark is the industry minimum or industry standard, and NAVAC manufactures tools that can create vacuum far below those thresholds for optimal results.
So Jeremy, if we don't pull a proper vacuum, what are some of the consequences?
Yeah, Mark, consequences can include system inefficiency, shortened lifespan of the equipment, and potentially, ultimately, system failure of that HVAC system. So NAVAC offers the widest range of vacuum pumps in the industry to residential and commercial HVAC contractors, in addition to a full line of supporting accessories that include large inside diameter vacuum hoses, valve core removal tools, test and measure equipment like a micron gauge that can see up to 500 psi of positive pressure. And ultimately what this does is it ensures that that contractor can commission a system and leave it in a state knowing that it's going to run efficiently for a long period of time.
So typically, how long does this process normally take?
Time required to pull a proper vacuum depends on a number of factors. Those can include environmental conditions, the size of the equipment, and previous levels of contamination, such as system burnout. Fortunately, we're able to optimize this process by choosing the right equipment. NAVAC provides a wide range of accessories, including premium vacuum oils, rapid Y evacuation setups, and a full range of different size pumps that can be matched with the size of the job. For an example, you'd use a larger 12 CFM pump on the chiller, whereas for a residential application, NAVAC's NP4 DLM is a cordless battery pump that just makes that process much easier. All things done properly, we've seen residential HVAC contractors been able to reduce their evacuation time from sometimes an hour down to 20 minutes when using the right tools.
So obviously picking the right equipment is pretty critical.
Absolutely, for accuracy and for efficiency, and like we say, if you're not measuring, you're guessing.
All right, so we've got the right equipment, we've hooked it up, we've pulled the vacuum. So what needs to be done after you pull a vacuum?
Yeah, so after an evacuation, the system should hold a vacuum and there should be no gain in pressure. Since we're in vacuum, a rise in pressure would indicate a leak. At this point, refrigerant can be introduced into the system, and tools like NAVAC's refrigerant scales, digital gauges, and leak detectors can be used for professional grade installation and commissioning of the system.
So Jeremy, being out there all the time, what are you hearing out there, or what are some of the hot buttons around HVAC equipment?
Yeah, so definitely the hottest one right now would be A2L refrigerants and the transition to A2L compliant tools.
So what are some of the things you got to watch out for with A2L refrigerants, and how is that going to affect the vacuum process?
First and foremost, there are benefits like a reduced global warming potential of these refrigerants, and that's the primary reason for the change. But it comes along with some precautions, and that would be increased flammability. So being mindful of proper ventilation in equipment that has a reduction in hard contacts, reducing spark capability in the equipment, that's key. And to that point, Mark, NAVAC has a full range of vacuum pumps, refrigerant recovery tools, and test and measure equipment that is A2L compliant, probably the largest in the industry. And then looking towards the future, A3 compliant as well, as we get into refrigerants that are much more flammable than existing refrigerants.
Well, Jeremy, thanks for taking the time out of your day and being here with us today. Hope our viewers found it informative. I sure did.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having us, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you'd like to learn more about this topic, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's also a link to a blog that we wrote in the description below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode of Brands.